driving on these logging roads far deep into Penan lands. It's nearly Perry Valley now. For the company, they have a lot of different roads where they are driving on. So these roads, which are like disease, enter the jungle up to the springs. And in the steep terrain, it's of course really a lot of erosion. When there are big rains, so it's always falling down again, and they get bigger. Some of those erosions, they can have 200, 300 or 400 meters long, like from the roads down rivers. So the rivers, they turn muddy. Some of the most demanded fish, some of them die, they cannot survive in dirty water. The road is the beginning of the end, not only for the jungle, but for all its inhabitants and their culture. It causes the end of their culture and of the paradise. Within 1 year, or in the next year, if the company cannot be stopped, it will be too late. Even not 1 year, maybe 3 months if the company really drives on the logging roads. You walk on foot. Within 1 week, you can pass our whole land. It's not a big land. But if our land is destroyed, that's like our death. Of course, government is now trying to educate the Penan to get settled, to breed up cattle. Maybe I heard about such events in Long Napier. The Penans have to starve the nomads if they don't settle down, if the region is getting locked.
Even if they settle down, will they be happy?
Look at the settled Penans here. Are they happy? Go to Longbakko. Are they happy? They have a rotten hat, just some old holy tins as roof. They have some bounded, sawed, planches, which the company in any case has no use of, and their jungle are empty of wild boars. They are empty of wild game, and their sago palms are already majuk from the Bulldozers. And so all the Penan tribes around here, also those which are already settled, they also depend on their jungles. Their shifting cultivation doesn't give them enough.
The promise of a better way of life, if they settle down, has been a bitter disappointment for most Penan. They have at best received only the crumbs of the supposed benefits of so-called development. Out of a group of 4,000 tribal children studied for protein deficiency, 92.3% of Penan children under 9 were found to be suffering moderate to severe malnutrition. This ranks amongst the worst of any country in the world. A third of all native people are facing a shortage of food. Few can read, most have no electricity or clean running water, and live on the baseline of existence. They are heartsick and broken in spirit and yearn for the old life that has come to an end and wondering why. This is the longhouse at Leon. A few Penans settled here and began to farm rice, and the men still try and hunt in the logged forest. While we were there, the hunters returned to the kampong after 3 days trying to find game. They had one barking deer the size of a small dog, which had to go round the whole tribe.
Hello, good to see you. How many people are living here now? There are 13 families here in this kampong. How is your livelihood here? Is it still as easy to find your food to survive? Before it used to be easy to look for food. But now it is very difficult since the companies have come to log the forest around our settlement. Have you spoken to any government officials regarding your problems here? I've spoken to many people, including the former State Secretary, the resident of the 4th Division, and the district officer. What was their reply to you when you informed them of your problem? They made a lot of promises, but so far there is nothing which has been done by them about our problems here. What specifically did they promise to do for you about your problems? What they promised was that they would build us a new house and do a lot of projects for us to improve our livelihood. But so far, even these things have not been done. What did they promise about your land? They said they will do something to give us land. We have even returned to them and asked them to make an official confirmation, but they never replied to our letter. So what do you feel now, that despite the promises made to you, they still have not done anything about those promises? I'm still very confused about what would be our future, because they continue to ignore us like this. You Penan here, you own the land, but they disregard your rights as traditional owners. What do you say about this? I feel very bitter about it, especially when you see the state of our house and you look around at the devastation of our land now. All our rivers are polluted, so how can we get fish from the rivers now? There is no other thing. We only need land so that we can continue to survive. That's what we always tell them.
Penan are very bitter and disappointed over the lack of help they've received. The ones who've given up their forest life to settle down have still found the company ending up at their back door. They should have asked. That's what visitors would normally do, but they just come and steal our lands. And we are illiterate and we don't know what to do to even get compensation for our damaged crops. And at best, compensation has been small or in the form of token handouts. When the Malaysians came to power in 1963, they used existing British land laws, which they altered and tightened to the extent that very few tribal people have customary land rights to their own lands. These rights, where they do exist, can be revoked at any time by the government and revert to the state. Publication of the minister's decision is announced in the Gazette, and 6 weeks after this notification, native customary rights automatically cease to exist. In most cases, tribal people who cannot read or write and live far away aren't even aware of the loss.